All right, call funnels are by a long shot my favorite way to sell for online service-based businesses. There's a lot of different funnels that you can do. I mean, you can do you can do a challenge funnel. You can do a webinar funnel. You can do a VSL call funnel. You can do a evergreen. There are a lot of different funnels that you can do, but I'm a massive fan and a proponent for VSL call funnels. Now, there are a lot of reasons as to why you can fail in a VSL call funnel, like a lot. What I ended up doing is I broke down a spreadsheet that had 349 independent variables that all went into play on just a VSL call funnel and the success of VSL call funnel. But if we want to focus on the 80-20 rule and what the 20% of things that yield the 80% in order for you to be successful, I think that is realistically where we should take this video. And so with that being said, I want to go into why most VSL call funnels fail and some things that you can do to actually benefit from just focusing on these small things and not worrying about the little things to hopefully make you a little bit more successful. Now, the first thing that I see are people not focusing on top-down funnel analysis. So what I mean by this is if you have a landing page here with your VSL, etc., and then this moves over into let's say an application, and then from the application you have your DQ, and then you have your qualified. Now from this point forward, you have your qualified, they book a call on this page, and then your DQ go to some downsell or whatever. Then when these people book a call, they then have a show update, right? Show update. Now on this show update, you also have two other metrics. You have closed and lost. Now, where a lot of people put a lot of their time and effort is into these middle sections of their VSL call funnel, and this is where they put a lot of their time and effort into. And not that that's bad. It's for an example, if your close rate is 25%, and let's say your landing page is converting at 5%, what a lot of people do is they don't even look at this conversion rate on the front end, on that 5%, and instead they focus on their close rate and try to get this from 25 to 30. Now, the problem with that is if you go from 25 to 30, you're only getting a 5-10% increase on the back end. But if you focus on this landing page and your baseline is actually 10%, your benchmark is 10%, then you would actually 100% the back end. So if you're doing already $100,000 a month with the 5% conversion rate, if you were to just fix this to 10%, you'd go from $100,000 a month to $200,000 a month. Opposed to if you just increase your close rate from 25 to 30%, your increase would not be 100%. Now, when we look at the application phase, etc., the point that I'm trying to make is top-down funnel analysis is not looking at the back end of the funnel. It's looking at the front end of the funnel and seeing which metrics early on that are severely lacking and are not close to baseline. Because as soon as you get those things to baseline, it doubles the back end of your funnel if you're, 50% operating. Now, the next thing that's really important to note is that the offer is not clear enough. Now, one of the things that I've learned over time is it doesn't matter how good your email nurturing is. It doesn't matter how good your SMS is. It doesn't matter how good your salespeople are. It doesn't matter how good your landing page is if your offer is not clear from the start. So what I mean by that is you're running YouTube to VSL call funnel, or if you're running ads to VSL call funnel, then your offer needs to be extraordinarily clear from the beginning. And the clearer that your offer is, the higher all of your other metrics following become. And so what I mean by that is if your offer is extraordinarily clear on the ads, then your VSL landing page is going to have or from YouTube in general, then your landing page is going to have a significantly higher conversion rate opposed to if your offer just starts off very broad. People don't really know what they're opting into. Now, what's really important to note is their offer, your entire funnel from beginning to end needs to be 100% clear. Meta/YouTube to landing page. Your landing page needs to reflect everything that you talk about in your Meta and your YouTube. Then from this point forward, your actual application questions need to reflect exactly what the landing page says and exactly what the Meta says, your YouTube channel, whatever your core offer is. Then you're nurturing emails, SMS. The more congruent your entire funnel is from front to end, the higher the metrics just automatically inflate because people know exactly what they're opting in for and they know exactly what they want. You don't really even need emails or SMS or an insane closer if your offer is really clear. And I mean on the landing page and on the actual ad sets, right? If on the landing page you're very clear of what it is that you're offering and then your actual ad sets are very clear on what it is that you're offering, people show up. You really don't need to go like obscene. You don't need to take those extra measures to have a really solid email campaign, to have a really solid SMS campaign, to have crazy follow-ups, none of this. You don't need to do that if your offer is extraordinarily clear. Now, you can hurt yourself a little bit with this by going too clear, too specific, and too niche. We've done that multiple times where we've just gone so niched that we actually don't get any leads at all. But if we do get the lead, the show rate is 100% without email nurturing, without SMS nurturing. And so like all of these things are like bonuses, like confirmation page with breakout videos, email nurturing, SMS, all of these things are like additional and can help inflate. But the point is if your offer is really, really, really clear, then you don't need any of these things. Now, the next thing I'm going to go into is typically when they do have email nurturing, it sucks. Your emails are not to sit there and try to pester somebody to show up to a call. If your emails are structured this way, your show rates are not going to reflect. You're not going to increase your show rates. Your email's number one job needs to be providing as much information to the user that opted in or to the customer as you possibly can. If you're delivering anywhere between like 20 and 50% of your knowledge base through these emails, what they're going to understand, the people that are reading these, is that if they're willing to give me this much information by just opting into their funnel, I can't imagine how much information that they can actually provide me taking the call with them and actually showing up. Your email nurturing has one job and one job only. It is to provide as much value as you possibly can before they show up to the call. Handle limiting beliefs, handle objections, answer frequently asked questions, provide as much value as you possibly can. Show them your entire product. Be as valuable as you can. Show them what their bottleneck is before they even hop on the call. And that is going to provide so much value and it's going to be an irresistible for somebody to want to show up if you're able to provide that much value. Now, your SMS, you can take this two ways. You can be incongruent with your SMS and just be straight value based, or you can use SMS as like a pattern interruption. And what we do for all of our SMS is just an obscene pattern interruption. We talk about how our grandma just saw you come in, she just scraped your IP, she's a black belt in Taekwondo, and she will be meeting you at your front door if you don't show up to this call. And so we have like this duality. We have our SMS that are primarily focused on almost selfish based reasoning to show up, but with injecting a lot of humor, pattern interruption inside of that. Now, our emails, on the other hand, are just primarily focused on value. And the core aspect of this is when somebody opts into the funnel who's qualified, I want them to look at our funnel and be like, wow, this is very well put together. I can only imagine what they would do for my business. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is like, if you don't feel like you deserved the person to show up, then why would they show up? In my mind, if somebody doesn't show up, it's your fault because you didn't inject enough urgency into them to need to show up to this call. And the way I kind of look at it is like, if I had a dentist appointment and the dentist appointment was just primarily focused on just like a 6-month cleaning, right? To me, that's not that important, right? It's really not that important. But if the dentist calls me 24 hours before the appointment and says something along the lines of, hey, we just looked at your report one last time and we saw some bone mass growing in your A2, something like that. This could be cancer, this could be nothing, I'm not sure, but we would really like to do another scan tomorrow when you show up. Now I have an urgency factor of needing to show up to this thing. It's now significantly more important. And so the equivalent to this for like an online service-based business, if somebody opts into your funnel, you pull their domain just from their email and you say, hey, I noticed that your landing page, the UI on it is like incredibly bad. I can only imagine your conversion ratio. Your CVR on your landing page is probably excruciating. If you wouldn't mind, would you be able to take a look at that for me? And then when they relay that information back to you and you say, okay, this is horrible, what we'll do tomorrow is we'll kind of break down more on that and how we can help. Right now, you have helped them identify a core problem in their business, and now they're going to be more likely to show up. Or for an example, hey, I just went through your type form, and on the third question, I noticed that the UI glitched a little bit. Okay, something like that. This is something I really want to focus on because I'm sure it's affecting your show rates. Something along those lines. The point is you're going to figure out what their business is, do a little bit of due diligence, and then inject an urgency factor into them so that they show up. You need to deserve them showing up. You don't just launch a VSL call funnel and then just expect your show rates to be at 80%. You need to take all the precautions that you need to take in order to get them to show up. So if you have an extraordinarily clear offer and it's congruent throughout the entire funnel, step 1 complete. If you are making sure that you're looking at top-down funnel analysis properly, step 2 complete. If you make sure that your emails are value dense, step 3 complete. If you make sure that your SMS are also value plus pattern interruption, sweet. And then if you identify a problem in their business and inject urgency, then you are doing all the things that you can possibly do in order to get them to show up. And so you can feel like you deserve the show, which if you feel like that, then chances are your show rates are going to be really, really, really good. Now, the important thing to note here is you want to account for all of these things because all of these things will come into confluence with each other. And I want you to really hammer down on your team to make sure that all of these things are coming together. And I promise you your VSL call funnel is going to be a lot more successful, okay? By just having a really clear enough offer, we've taken our show rates from 20% to like 50%. And then injecting all of these other things, we've taken our show rate from 50% to 80%, sometimes 90% on really good weeks. And so the point is, if you're struggling with the VSL call funnel, chances are you're not doing some of these things. You need to be doing them. You need to be valuable as possible. And then taking all these things and bringing them into confluence. You know, your team understand these things. And I promise you your VSL call funnel will do a lot better. But with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video.